Okay, so here we have a very simple website, which I'll show you how to change the headings, have different type of headings, and so on in terms of using the CSS designer panel to be able to do it. So we'll create a new CSS sheet and then we'll add some rules to it. Okay, so first of all, I want to have this type of heading and have an H1 or level 1 heading. So simple enough, I can go to my properties panel and then change it to heading 1. And then here we have this type of heading. Now, I'm going to do the same thing here for the heading 2. I'm going to go or change it to a heading 2, to the second heading. So I'm going to select heading 2. So I've changed those type of headings, but I want to be a certain color, right? Or maybe certain font or something like that. So in order to do that, either add it to an existing style sheet or I need to create a new style sheet. To do that, I'm going to bring up the designer panels, as you can see right here. Okay. Now, if that is not there, for instance, if it's closed, then all you do is go to Window and CSS Designer, and it brings it back up. So I'm going to pull this out right here so that we have enough space so we can see the properties also. All right, so I'm going to just move it off to the side. Otherwise, it would just be down towards the bottom, which you can leave it there on the side if you wanted to. Okay, so I'm just going to leave it right here. So one of the first, there are different, keep in mind in terms of CSS, which means cascading style sheet, there are 3 different type of rules that you can create. So one of the first rule is using tags rules. And that means that basically, if we look at the split view here, so as you can see, there are different tags on here. Paragraph tag. There is the heading 1 tag. Scroll down, here's the heading 2 tag, and a side tag, and so on and so on. So div tags and all those type of things. So if you wanted to affect a tag, you can create a tag rule. If you want to create a rule that you can apply to wherever you want it to, whenever you want it to, whether it be a div, this is a div container right here, for instance. So if I wanted to apply to a div container like the header, now I just selected it right here using my DOM, document object model, I could do that. And that would be called a class rule. Okay, so a class rule is basically a rule that I can create, and then I have to choose where I wanted to apply to. And then there's also an ID rule. That means that that particular container or something or link or something has an ID, and then I can create a rule so that affects that particular ID. Okay. Alrighty, so let's go ahead and what I'll first do is create a header 1 type rules. So notice right here in my designer panel that I don't have any style sheet created at all. So first of all, I need to create a style sheet. So I'm going to click on this add CSS button or plus sign. So I'm going to create a new CSS file because I don't have an existing one and I don't want it defined in the page. I could have it defined in the page, but that just adds to the size of your HTML file. We want to avoid that. We want it to be able to link it. So I'm going to link it. As you can see, I make sure it's linked, so I'm going to give it a name. Since this is like a ski site, my ski site. And then I'm going to browse to where I want to save it to. I'll save it right here on their ski site on my desktop. Again, I have to rename it. No. By the way, notice that I'm putting on when I did the browse to save it there. Notice that I put underscores under there. Okay, ski site. Here we go. So now this CSS document is created. And you'll notice right here also under my index page that we have the source code, which is this, shows up the HTML code. When I click here, it shows up my CSS code, which there isn't any yet, but I have the CSS style sheet created. All right, I'm going to go back to the source code for now. Now I'm going to go ahead and create that rule, that type of rule. So I'm going to click on Add Selector here. Actually, hold on a minute. Let's delete that. I want to make sure you understand something. So since I want to affect this particular rule right here, or this my H1 tags, I can put my cursor on there, select it or something like that, and then it'll try to come up with its own name for it. All right. So again, I want to just create a tag rule. So I'm going to click here to create it, and notice it kind of tries to come up with a name for us. So when you have a pound, it means that it's going to be an ID, which this div tag all around has an ID of wrapper, and then it's within my main section. Okay, so it would be like there's two containers, so the wrapper container and the section container. But all I want is actually to affect all H1 tags. So I'm just going to leave it as H1, no pound sign in front of it. All right. Again, that would be an ID type of rule. All right, so I have that created. So now I'm going to go over to my properties. Again, make sure your panel, if it's squished in like this, the properties will be down at the bottom. If I open it up, it'll just move over to the side. Now these are the properties I want to add to H1. By the way, if sometimes it's clicked on show set, it might just look like this and there's no rules. If there were particular rules, then show set will show those particular rules. So I'm going to uncheck that because I don't have any rules created yet. All right, so I'm going to go, I can scroll down if I wanted to the text section, or I can just click on the uppercase T there and it'll come up here and show me where the text section is. So in terms of the color, I'm going to change the color just to change it. Get a deep blue there going. Hit return. So now all the H1s will be blue, this color blue. Actually, let's change it to a different color. Just because. Let's see. Yeah. All right. Okay. Just so it's not confused with this one right here, which is a link. Okay. So we have it that particular color on there. Now what I want is to change the font on it. So I'm going to come over here, font family, and then choose a Arial type font, which was sans serif type fonts, Gill Sans, and so on. These are the available fonts for most browsers. So I'm going to choose that. Notice it's changed it over here. So anytime I change something to, notice right here, it's heading 1. So watch, when I change this from a heading 2 to a heading 1, it automatically will look like this because I've developed a rule that only affects H1 type stuff, right? So I'm going to do that real quick. Now, so that's the tag rules. So I'm going to go ahead and create another type of rule. Okay, so I'm going to create my own rule, and to do that, class rule, it starts with a period. Okay, so my headings, and then I decide what that heading should look like. Okay, so since it's a class rule, I have I have that period. So I'm going to go again, scroll down or click on the T here. And for those, I'm going to make it, I don't know, yellow. Okay. So whenever I want to change the headings on my own, I'll apply maybe yellow. It'll be yellow. Font family will again, we'll keep it Arial. Font style. Yeah, what is that? Font weight. Let's see here. Bold. Yeah, I'll make it bold. Even though it's already kind of bold. And that's about it for now. All right, so now I have these two rules. I have the heading one, and I have my class rule. Now, as you notice, nothing has been applied here, so I just want to apply it to this one. Okay, so I'm going to go into my properties panel. So if you don't have, sometimes the property panel is all the way down at the bottom. If you don't, again, just go up to Windows and bring it up. So under class, I've selected this. Under class, I'm going to select my headings, the class rule. All class rules will show up over here. So now when I deselect, you'll notice, ooh. Okay, well, can hardly see that yellow, so that's fine. So I don't like that yellow because it's of the white background, so I'm going to change it to a different color. So I'm going to select to change the rules, so I can go back here, I can change this one, I can change this one. I'm going to go to, again, back up here, click the T so the text head, properties show up. And let's change it, we'll change it to, okay, yeah, orange for now. All right. And notice automatically, because it already has that been applied there, you see it's changed to orange. So by the way, so notice when I select here, notice that on the H2 tag, it says class. So that class has been, the class my heading has been applied on there. And notice here, there's no class being applied because it's a tag rule. All right, so that's a tag rule. Tag rule, and this is a class rule. Now I'll create a rule that applies to an ID. So if you'll notice here on this, let me move this over. If you'll notice that where I have this paragraph, okay, all this right here, that when I put my cursor inside this paragraph somewhere or anywhere, and if I look at my selector, tag selector right here, it says my main section. And when I click on that, it selects it right here. You see the border all around it, the blue border. So that's one, and I particularly named that, if you look up here, named it my main section. Okay, so when I created it, it asked if I wanted to put an ID, and I did put an ID, and I did that. By the way, if we need to, we can go back up here and do the same thing in terms of ID, and then I can come up with an ID if I wanted to there, on there. Okay, I'm not going to do that for this. All right, so again, this section right here has an ID, which is wrapper. Oh no, sorry. What is it? Yeah, my main section. Okay, so that's selected. With that selected, I'm going to go ahead and create a ID rule. So I'm going to click right here and the plus one more time. Notice what it tries to do. Again, it comes up with my main section wrapper. I don't want the wrapper. The wrapper is the thing that it's encased under. I just want it to be my main section. So on here, what I really want to do is just change the color background. Okay, so I'm going to come up to background up here, and it'll bring up the background section. And so now I'll just change the background on here to, I don't know, let's see, okay, whatever, green. Okay, and now this is the only section that's color green. All right, so hopefully this was helpful for you, and that's it.